Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. And if you enjoy the fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic.
What if Naruto died and returned as a god of war? Sakura's guilt, Hinata's cold heart, and Temari's awakening. Chapter 1. Rain poured down heavily from the heavens. Lying on the ground, beaten and bloodied, a young blonde lay in a growing pool of his own blood. His orange outfit was ripped, torn, and shredded to pieces. His right arm was ripped off, sliced by a literal bolt of lightning, at the lower shoulder. There was a cut across his left eye, the socket empty and bloodied from the knife that had torn into the optical nerve and severed it from the body. On his chest, there were two new scars, slowly healing. One was located on the left shoulder, now a jagged scar that would never heal properly and would always remain to remind him of his blunder. The second one was directly over the heart and had both an entry and exit opening to show that the attack had fully pierced his chest cavity, the pool of crimson life growing further from the constant expelling of blood from his slowly beating heart. Then something happens as if a fate had preordained it to become. Walking along the shore of the river was a figure wearing a dark brown cloak. The person seemed to be a man, as he was just passing through, but he came to cross the boy laying there. He came up to him and he said, "Boy, are you alive?" In a deep tone of voice as he placed his free hand on the back of the teen. Look at the boy. The man can see that he seems to be around 13, maybe 14 years old, but all the man could hear from the boy is soft groans, showing that he was alive, if only just. Without saying anything else, the man grabs the young man and hoists him up onto his back, not caring for the blood. He had seen and experienced worse. It was nothing new to him. And with that, he walks away. Minutes later, a man wearing a green vest and a mask over his face landed in the valley and saw the pool of blood. He had come too late again. Minato-sensei would have been more than disappointed. But, that day he made a vow. Sasuke Uchiha would die by his hand for killing his fellow student by his hand. XXX. Meanwhile, outside of the Land of Fire's border, midnight XXX. Sounds of crackling wood from a campfire greeted him as he groggily opened his eyes. The young blonde wakes up, just only for a brief moment. He opens his only eye and sees that he's laying on a makeshift bed, as well as the fire nearby. Then he notices a man in a coat sitting by the fire. He is garbed in a dark cloak that covered his head and body, the exception being the single arm that slowly stirred a pot that sat in the flame, a long red line, a tattoo probably running along his arm and into the cloak. Before he can say anything, the man speaks in a deep gravelly voice. "You're awake, good," he says. "I trust you learned a valuable lesson in that fight." He questions the boy in a tired yet defeated voice, "How do you even know?" "There was no one else but me and a friend," he questions. The man gives a chuckle at the boy's question. "That is simple. A warrior would know when a battle is held and ended, but it looks to me as if you were on the losing end. An eye and an arm are not something that can go unnoticed, as I'm sure you already figured out. How do you plan on making your next move?" The man questioned. "I need to get stronger," the boy declared. "I have a promise to keep. I'll just go back and talk to the pervy sage and he gets cut off, and then what? Kill the one who did this to you. If I have to guess, this person in question is this so-called friend you mentioned earlier." "What? No. To bring him back," says the young boy. Though his face was covered by the cloak, the boy could tell the man was shaking his head. "So foolish." The man states, "So tell me this promise of yours, who asked you to make it?" He questions. Such childish notions weren't made without outside interference, usually of the feminine kind. "Well, Sakura asked me. She asked me to bring Sasuke back," says the boy. Hearing this makes the man laugh incredibly hard, to the point he had to hold his gut from lack of air, as if he knew this would be the answer and reason. "So a girl asks you to risk your very life to bring back this other boy, this Sasuke?" The man questions as he calms himself down. "That's right. I will do anything for her since he gets cut off. Oh, spare me, I know what a love-sick fool would do for someone who doesn't have the same feelings. And what you have isn't love, trust me. If a girl is begging you to bring someone back and knows you love her, then she manipulated you. The best thing you can do is forget him, leave her or kill her, 'cause I see no problem ending such people for the greater good. This causes the boy to be angry and snaps at the man, you take that back. You don't know what you are talking about. And I would never do such a thing. And stops as he groans as he holds his shoulder. The man ignores this, maybe so, then tell me, what were you trying to do, such trying back this Sasuke back? It was a mission, given by Grandma Tsunade, to bring back Sasuke or else he would, well now, gone to that snake man. Snake man, the man inquires curiously. He's an old teammate of Grandma Tsunade, his name is Orochimaru. He went rogue a couple of years before I was born and experimented on people so he can find a way to become immortal and learn everything the world over or something like that. He thinks, well, wholeheartedly believes I should say that Sasuke's bloodline will quicken the process so he can become some type of god or whatever. The boy shrugs. It seems what I said before still stands. If that's the case, he was better off killed than be in the hands of your enemy, said the man. Hearing this makes the blonde young man's anger spike up. What do you know? He demands. Calmly, the man looks at him. What would I know? I know what it's like to be enslaved. To be told who or what to kill, not caring who they were. Believing that it was all for some grand design for me to become a great warrior, he shows more of his arm as his skin is white as ashes, with red marking. You see this? He questions. This was the curse placed upon me for my actions. I killed many who were deserving, and many who were not. My own wife and child, my father, brothers, and sisters, and for my actions of killing the innocent, the ash of their bodies is now a burden to carry for the remainder of my days, he tells the boy softly. The boy couldn't say anything, but the man continues to speak. What I am, what I will always be, is a monster, and monsters are better off killed and dead, and you just sealed your friend's life. That, he stares at the boy, your ideas, these childish beliefs, whatever your people do on their lands, you had led them into their doom, all cause you promised a childish little girl to bring back a boy who clearly didn't want to return. But it seems that you paid for your sins already, theirs will come in due time, make no mistake about that. The boy just stares at the man. So what am I gonna do, where am I gonna go? Sasuke was like a prince to the people of the village, and if I return without him things will be worse for me than they already were. They don't care about any of us that tried to help Sasuke come back, and they sure as hell wouldn't celebrate me dragging him back. They'd try and finish what Sasuke tried to do. I can't fight with one arm, and I'm not that skilled, not like my teacher Kakashi-sensei, the boy responded. Follow your own path, ignore the desires and whims of the chain, and break it. Be who you want to be, not what others wish for you to become, the man tells the child. Well, my dream is to be the Hokage, to be someone they respect and admire. That's all I ever wanted, says the boy. The man nods in understanding, to be respected and admired. If I know any better, you sound like a man that I once knew from my homelands. You almost sounded like my old friend, Atreus. Was he a soldier? He was a soldier, a Spartan, a great warrior. All Spartans are great warriors. We trained from birth. Our lives were duty, discipline, battle, and death. Life was grim, and we greeted it grimly. But Atreus of Sparta was unlike the rest of us. He wore a smile, even in the worst of times. He was happy. He inspired others to hope that though we were machines of war, there was humanity in us. Goodness. When the day came for him to lay down his life in battle, his sacrifice saved countless others and changed the tide in our favor. I carried him home on his shield and buried him with the full honors of the Spartan customs. His memory was comfort in dark times. The boy is in awe. He sounds like a great guy. The man nods, that he was. Now boy, what are you going to do? He set his eyes back on the pot. The boy shrugged his shoulder. I guess, I don't know, go with you. This causes the man to stop stirring the food. This is surprising, are you certain? 'Cause if you do follow me, there's no telling when you are able to return to these lands that are your home, and no, I'm not a soft teacher. I know, but a person such as you, who doesn't give me bullshit excuses, doesn't show up late, or let alone go off teaching someone else what he knows down to a full-on assassination technique, please, let me go with you. The boy pleads. The man hums to himself, what is your name, boy? The man asks. Naruto Uzumaki. What's your name? I am Kratos, of Sparta. The now named Kratos responds before he then looks at the now named Naruto, and we have lots of things to work on. But for now, focus on your recovery, and when you are able, we will be leaving their lands, and who knows, and know that the journey will be rough, it won't be easy, but it will be rewarding in the end. Naruto nods, as he has no clue about the hardship he will face in the coming days. But he will return home, no matter how long it will take. XXX flash forward to 12 years later XXX. Konoha, middle of the day. It's been 12 years since that day at the Valley of the End. It was well known that the failed mission put the team that had taken it placed in grim danger. The revelation that Sasuke Uchiha didn't just defect to Orochimaru the Snake Sannin and the worst rogue ninja since the time of Madara Uchiha, but the boy who killed his friend all for the sake of getting revenge stirred a lot of mixed feelings in the population. It made them question things. If Sasuke Uchiha was willing to kill his supposed best friend and teammate all for the sake of power, what other atrocities would he pull just to see his goals come to fruition? Now status among the clans, the village, and ninja system, as well change of leadership was under change once again. The name and power behind one of the clans, the Uchiha clan, with now most of the members as well being a founding clan, the Uchiha's wrath, status, and power no longer held any meaning. As far as the village was concerned, the Uchiha clan had disgraced itself beyond measure and was beyond redeeming itself. Sasuke Uchiha was placed into the bingo book as AA ranked ninja with a bounty of 50,000 dead only hit on his head. Orochimaru was wanted strictly dead with a 1 billion bounty as he was a SS class ninja. His second in command, Kabuto, was wanted alive or dead with a 150 million bounty on his head due to being S class in rank. All in all, those in charge wanted the Uchiha dead, with no excuses of complaining, begging and whining that could change that. Though, only one person was still trying to change that so her beloved Sasuke could come home with a heavy penalty on him, but wasn't getting her way, as the letter signed by the Daimyo explicitly explained that the murder of a Konoha ninja in any attempt to gone rogue was treason and was punishable by however the Hokage saw fit. In the village themselves, there have been changes as well, such as villagers no longer having a say about the affairs of the ninjas, and any who dared to try to place any harm on a child for something they didn't do that's out of their hands were immediately executed. The civilian council had lost all say in political meetings, and lost 80% of their income, which was never used to better the village but their own pockets was sent to the more distressed areas of the village. The elders were strictly demoted to giving advice to the Hokage and the ninja council only and were not allowed to pass any laws. The Hokage even was placed under strict observation and control. Laws that had to be passed went through the daimyo and his advisors for a double check before being signed off to be a law or denied. Clan affairs were untouched, with the exception being the caged bird seal, the seal that induced slavery into half the Hyuga clan for generations. Now legally made an illegal act to have the brand placed on any member of the Hyuga clan, was officially banned for enslavement, which was already illegal to begin with. Those who tried to continue to old practice were immediately executed to serve as a warning. Several people were still on thin ice for trying it again behind closed doors, for the second warning was that the entirety of the Hyuga would be exterminated to the last child if it was revealed to be continued when now outlawed by the ruler of Fire Country. Now, to the ninja system itself, it went through a major overhaul. As such, adding teaching of medical justice, and changing certain teams was now a standard for all classes. Elemental affinities were learned and taught the basic control exercises as well as chakra control techniques. Only seasoned Jonin with explicit permission could teach any jutsu, with a signed approval from the daimyo being the only way to pass on a jutsu. This was mostly due to Sasuke Uchiha using AA rank, borderline S rank, assassination technique to kill his own teammate for his selfish ambitions. When the revelation that Naruto was the last Uzumaki alive for all intents and purposes, Sasuke Uchiha became the #1 enemy for all major and minor clans in Konoha when the legacy of the Uzumaki clan was revealed. The Uzumaki had defended their island home for 5 months against enemy nations from 3 major countries and 16 minor before they were overrun and destroyed. While it only took a single man to wipe out the Uchiha, spoke volumes of how powerful Naruto's family truly was. And not only that, there are changes in the academy as well. They removed the whole basic jutsus for the graduation exam. This was added to weed out those who truly might want to be a ninja and those who think it was just a game. XXX. And now, into the Hokage's office, was a woman, with blonde hair, brown eyes, with a blue mark on her forehead. She is a fair-skinned woman with brown eyes and straight blonde hair that parts above her forehead. Her hair has shoulder-length bangs that frame her face and the rest reaches her lower back. Wears a grass-green haori with the kanji for gamble, do, cake on the back, inside a red circle. Underneath she wears a gray, kimono-style blouse with no sleeves, held closed by a broad, dark bluish-gray obi that matches her pants. Her blouse is closed quite low, revealing her sizable cleavage. She wears open-toed, strappy black sandals with high heels. She has red nail polish on both her fingernails and toenails and uses a soft pink lipstick. As for what she was doing, well, that was simple. She is looking through the normal mountain of paperwork. This is Tsunade, a woman with the blood of the Senju and Uzumaki running through her veins. Tsunade sighs is reading about affairs of other villages as well, trading routes and such. Then she hears, "Lady Tsunade." Tsunade looks up from the papers and sees her longtime friend and former traveling companion and now assistant. "Shizune." "Yes, Shizune." Tsunade asks as she places the paper down to look at the woman. "She's trying again," Shizune commented as she passed her the paper. Taking it, she simply grabbed a red stamp and pressed it once into the red ink before slapping it down on the paper. A large, "Denied," printed in red across the page yet again. "Send her away, and tell her to find a better hobby than trying to annoy me with a murdering psychopath being redeemed," she ordered the woman, "and tell her that if she tries again she's going back to T&I for a week. And also inform her that if I see another referral to try and repeal Sasuke Uchiha's status as a missing ninja again, she's going to prison for obstructing the Hokage's elite forces from carrying out their orders for life. Then inform her that if she continues to bother me with this, after she is sent to prison, her chakra will be permanently sealed off, and she will be sent to level 7, she said before moving back to her original paperwork without so much as another word coming out of her mouth. "I would, but she's at the door, my lady," says Shun. Tsunade just groans, "By the gods, just how dumb is this girl?" She snapped her fingers and a pair of anbu appeared before her. "Take her away, I don't want to hear it," she commanded. They left to carry out their orders. Shizune says, "And to think once upon a time, you wanted to take her as a student." Shizune said, shaking her head. Tsunade sighed, "So much potential, wasted. All over a stupid crush turned obsession." She stated, "I'm kind of glad I managed to make Ino and Hinata learn some of my skills. I'm more disappointed than anything that Sakura harps over that damned Uchiha brat. And it's been 12 years, going on 13 now." Shizune says, "Okay, how about we take a break and get fresh air? I'm sure it will help you cool off, my lady." As a pig come up to Tsunade and lets out, "Oink. Yeah, that sounds nice." She gets up and both along with the pig named Taunton, they're gone outside. XXX. Meanwhile at the gates of Konoha XXX. A lone man wearing a smooth white coat, the hood pulled up enough covering his face and head, can be seen as he looks around as he talks to himself. A dozen years away, and nothing has changed. They all think that they are safe here behind these walls, they know nothing, the man muttered to himself. Gripping the small rope holding his travel bag, the man pulls it up and makes his way forward with no clear destination in mind. The man calmly walks up to the guards as he talks, "Hello there," calmly. The two men note that as he speaks, the guards look at the man as one of them with a strip of bandage running across the bridge of his nose and a light-colored marking on his chin speaks up. Yes, how can I help you, sir?" said the guard. He isn't sure what to make of this guy in the coat, and was that, a head on his hip. "Oh yes, say lad, could you lift me up, just let me do the talking," says another voice, which freaks out him and the other guard as the coated man grabs the end of a rope that's tied to the head and lifts it up. "Oh yes, thank you, now then I'm Mimir and this lad is an old companion of mine. This is Magni, son of Magnus and Magda." He introduces himself and his companion. "How are you able to talk, let alone function, you're a head?" the first guard says with wide eyes. "How perceptive of you, but it's all right. It's just a flesh wound, I assure you." Mimir jokes. "Enough Mimir, we are here on business, not to socialize with the locals." Magdi states, Yes, always such a rush like your da ain't you?" "Now then, we are just here to visit, you know how these folks do, sightseeing and all, may you let us through?" said the head of Mimir. Kotetsu and Azumo look at each other and shrug. This was first, so they had no clue as to what to do. "I mean, yay we can, it's just strange to see a talking head, might want to do something about that so you don't scare people." Azumo points out, "I'm quite aware of this," Magdi says, "and so full of humor too." Mimir grumbles as Magdi puts him under his cloak. "You could use a bath, ya know." The head questions, "And you could use a body so I don't have to worry about dropping you off to the fish." Magdi responds, "I'd like to see you try, that stubborn brother of yours would make you fish me out of the water." Mimir retorts with a laugh. Both make their in as the guards look at each other with one of them saying, "So we are not going to report the Anbu about a guy in a coat with a talking head?" "No way, besides, it's likely some genjutsu to play mind tricks with us," as the first one went back to his post as the other responds, "If you say so." XXX moments later XXX. "Really?" said the code man as he held up the head of Mimir with his left arm as they stood on the rooftop of a building. "Of all the names, you pick Magdi. Son of Magnus. What did you drink? You know I can't drink, much less eat anything, it'll go right through me. Besides, we couldn't risk revealing your true identity now, can we? It was either the made-up stuff, or we simply speak your real name and suffer some consequences we can't get out of." Mimir stated. Right, I forget, I'm basically a dead man," said the cloaked man, then looking at Mimir as the head asks, "Now then, on to more important matters, my lad, how does it feel to be back to the place you were born and raised?" "Must be nostalgic for you," the body-less head questioned, raising a brow. "I feel nothing. Nostalgia is a comfort that I cannot afford at the moment, or did you forget, the son of Odin hunts me," he stated. "Oh, forgive me for wanting to shed some light on our situation, my boy. After all, for time being you are safe as Aesir gods have no power here, given the land around belongs to another pantheon of gods." The cloaked man, "And you forget, the gods here don't get involved with the humans here," explained the man. "Ah, you worry too much. Say, here's an idea, why not we go get you a drink, then maybe you will loosen up a bit. Gods know it, you haven't since we left home. The last drink I had was that weird mead that the blue one gave me, and I never sat right with alcohol since," said the cloaked man. "All right, how about we found a nice lass for you in the... Are you sure you are not one of these cool uncles I hear about?" asked the cloaked man. Mimir laughs. "No, I'm afraid, my boy, I'm all about the good times, well, besides being an all-knowing advisor. And yet you fell off a mountain and had to be saved by a Valkyrie. I'll have you know, that incident took place 360 winters ago," Mimir grumbled. "Right, anyway I'm not going to look for a woman, but rather, food as I'm hungry." He looks in a certain direction, I wonder if they're still open. He asks himself before he jumps off and rejoins the crowd of villagers. The cloaked figure is walking while hearing Mimir saying, "Ah, this is a nice village, lad. I can see why many would want to try and attack here. It has lots of trees, a nice sizable mountain with faces, clear skies, and fresh air. What more could a pantheon ask for?" As he looked around, nothing, but the fools are always taking what doesn't belong to them. Why Hashirama deigned to walk among mortals and preach about peace is a mystery. All they ever do is fight and complain about what they don't have and always kill those who wrong them, the man disguised as Magi responded. Well, that's human nature, lad. They'll always have the innate desire of wanting more and will do anything to get it, even if it means fighting for it. Be it wealth, food, land, hell, women, have been like that since before time itself was even considered a concept, says Mimir as children who notice the talking head that's being hung onto the side of Magi, and Magi says, "I guess so." As one of the children says to their mother, "Mommy, that head is talking." The mother who was busy talking was saying, "Yes, we all do, dear." She was not looking at what her child was pointing to. She was conversing with a vendor about a small purchase and only spoke to placate her child. It wasn't out of rudeness, she was just busy trying to get some stuff to feed her children. "I think it would be best if you stop for the time being. Too many eyes around," Magdi stated. "Oh, I see, yes, I can understand why," Mimir said. "I'll be quiet now." "Well, quit attempting to be quiet and just close your lips. Will you pull the stick out your rear and be yourself and not your da? It's not right to me," Mimir muttered. The head is now thinking about it. Where are they heading to? "Soon enough. There it is," said Magdi as they're a few steps away from a stand, with its sign saying, "Ramen Ichiraku," and for a bodiless head, the scent is amazing. By Odin's beard, this smell, oh, it's making my mouth watery. Lad, where did you take us to? "A place that holds some of my most precious memories," says Magdi softly as he grabs Mimir and puts him on the counter. "Here, have a look," he tells him. "Ah, a nice and homey atmosphere, I like it. It's been a long time since we saw something like this," Mimir admitted. It was then a young woman came from the back and waved at them. "Hello, welcome to Ichiraku Ramen, my name is Ayame, can I get you something?" she asked happily. "I want 12 of your miso ramen, 5 bowls of red bean paste, and the best sake you have under the counter," Magdi said, placing some gold coins on the counter. Seeing that the gold coins are quite big and thicker than any form of currency she has seen before, Ayame felt her eyes widen by this as she said, I don't think we have enough change for this, sir. I do not want change in return. This is for the entire purchase and a bit of investment on my part. Take it as a sign of gratitude on my behalf," Magdi told her. The young woman stutters in shock. Thank you, I will get your order then your drink, sir." She takes the coins and informs the chef who is also her father, and within a few seconds a shout comes from the back, "He paid with this." The male voice exclaims from the back as Mimir chuckles, "Ayame gets the strongest sake we have." This makes Magdi laugh in his thoughts. "Old man Tuki, this money will help you to expand your business far beyond this forsaken village and allow you to spread your love of cooking to reaches you could only dream of. I hope that this small amount will help you on your journey." A couple of seconds later, Ayame returns with a bottle of sake in hand and places it on the counter. "Why, your order will be ready in a little bit, sir. Thank you for your generosity," she said, giving the bottle to Magdi. "Thank you," he says, taking the bottle and opening it before proceeding to guzzle the wine at an incredible pace before he sets the empty bottle down. "It's been a long time since I had a good wine from home," he says politely. Ayame says, "Oh, you're from here? I don't think I met someone like you before, given your clothes," she says while looking at the style of clothes Magi is wearing. Nodding, Magi says, "Yes, it's just been a few years since I was here," he informs her. Ayame says, "I see, well, welcome back and I hope you enjoy your meal." She smiles before turning to leave. "What a nice lass," said Mimir with Ayame's eyes turning wide as a dish and white as she slowly turns to the head that's on the counter. She just thought it was one of their fake ones see in shopping stores. Mimir, you need to learn when to be silent. Magdi sighs out, forgive me, I had told him to be silent and not scare others. But, as you can see, he doesn't listen all that well. Magdi says, Miss Ayame, meet Mimir, a traveling companion of mine, he told her. He's an H-head, T that talk, says Ayame. That I am lass, why? Mimir asks. How? Ayame asks as she knows the life of a ninja is full of surprises, but this is just too much for her. Mimir laughs, would you believe me if I said, magic? He asks with humor. Mimir, enough, Magdi said harshly. Oh, fair enough, and I don't think she could handle any more I'm about to say anyway, said Mimir, moving his eyes to the young woman who looks shocked, and any more, she might break. And this is why you should speak when it's just us, said Magi. I know, but I was curious, can't blame now can ya? Mimir says. Order up, Tuki calls from the back where Ayame rushes to get the food for the paying customer. It was just that moment someone else walked in. It is a woman, with sandy blonde hair, with teal-colored eyes, wearing clothes from another village, which is a battle-style kimono as well, carrying a large fan on her back. She has a nice figure with large of double G's, wide childbirthing hips. This is Temari, a kunoichi from the Suna. From what he remembers of her looks he can see that she's changed drastically. Temari's hair has changed again, now it has only 2 ponytails at the bottom of the back of her head. She wears a pair of simple white earrings, a light pink lipstick, and also a shuriken holster on her right thigh. Temari's outfit consists of a dark blue short-sleeved dress that reached her above her knees, a beige belt with white polka dots around her belly, which also serves to carry her fan, fingerless black gloves, and high-heeled boot sandals with wooden soles. She shouts, "Hey, can I have a bowl of shrimp and a plate of yakisoba?" She calls into the back. Then she notices the cloak, and near him is a head with glowing eyes. She hummed as she thought, a foreigner. Look at the cloak and pants, he's not around from here or anywhere in the other lands. She takes her seat but away from Magi and Mimir as Magi whispers, "Don't say a word, Mimir." Ayame brings out Magdi's numerous bowls of food and places them down in front of him, and he thanks her before he begins to dine silently by using his left arm. She had gotten a glimpse of the right one, and she noticed it was a deep ebony black metal with golden symbols, runes of his homeland she supposed. A prosthetic, how rare. She hardly met a person with a lost limb with a fake one and was able to function with it. Temari wanted to ask him about it but realized it's for the best that she doesn't, or else she might wake up some unfavorable memory. However, Magdi is more perceptive than she thought. If you are curious, I would not mind answering. And for your information, I lost it in a fight against someone I called brother. I still have to pay him back for what he took from me. Not just my arm, but an eye as well, he commented. As a single glow is seen through the darkness of the hood as well, revealing the arm. And he could move it, which surprised both women in the restaurant. As Temari says, "Wait, you can move it? Or are you tricking me to have me think it's some prosthetic, but in truth, it is just covered in armor?" Magdi laughs as he has his left hand and removes the hand part. "What do you think?" he asks as he makes the hand clench after placing it on the counter. "How do you make it do that? Advanced sealing techniques?" Temari asks while moving closer as she is very curious. Magdi laughs, "Seals? Please, the place I lived didn't have such things. Where I am from there are runes, and they hold great power, plus I know a pair of brothers, annoying as they are experts in their craft," he tells her before replacing the limb. "Must be some pair of brothers, to make a fully functioning prosthetic like that. It's nothing short of amazing," said Temari as Ayame had gone off to leave the two to their talk. Magdi chuckles, "Only when they get along," he says as he starts eating his first bowl. The blonde woman looks at the cloaked figure curiously. "They don't get along?" she asked. She knows that brothers, well, siblings, in general, do that. In a way, yes, said Magi. I'm sure they'll make up, said Temari, and upon hearing that, Magi couldn't hold it in and laughed as he thought, yay right. Brock and Sindir, making up, it'll be a cold day in hell before that happens. Hell, that will be the day Thimble winter begins. So stranger, what's your name? Temari asks, as she wants to get to know this mysterious man more. Magdi snorts as he swallows his food, me. I'm Magi, son of Magnus and Magda. Temari blinks at his name, Magdi. Huh, that's an odd name, I guess I was right, you're not from around here, huh? She questions. Magdi shakes his head, it wasn't my original name, my folks just decided to change it after we moved away from here. What it was, I don't remember it. It's been so long since I spoke it, even heard it. He slurps the noodles. Temari then has her eyes on the head that's near Magdi and points, so what's with the head? Do you just carry it around or so, Methy? She stops when Mimir laughs, oh, I like this one. Much better than that other lass who nearly punted me into the lake of the Nine for that joke I made about the carpet and drapes. He laughs. Goo, what the hell? Temari exclaimed in shock, it's alive. She cried out. Well, partially. I mean, I did have him cut my head off and reanimate me so we could travel. I swear, that tree left me with the worst of itches that I could never reach. Especially one in the rear bits of my. He went to rant only for Magdi to clear his throat. Ah, right, sorry. Mimir says, sounding embarrassed, anyways dear, allow me to introduce myself. Mimir says, clearing his throat, I'm the greatest ambassador to the gods, the giants, and all the creatures of the 9 realms. I know every corner of these lands, every language is spoken, every war waged, every deal ever struck. They call me, Mimir, smartest man alive, and I have the answer to your every question, the head said grinning. You've been waiting to use that one for a while again, haven't you? Magdi asks Mimir. Of course, any chance I can get to introduce myself like that is a good thing. Mimir states. Temari calms herself and laughs, well, you certainly give a better introduction than that perverted toad sage ever did back in the day. Shame, he would have loved to meet you, she said. This toad sage, whatever happened to him? Mimir asked curiously. His peeping got him in trouble with a few women, he's recovering in the hospital at the moment. Happened about 3 months ago now that I think about it. Temari hummed. Well, I most certainly wouldn't blame the maidens for putting him there. Mimir converses. Miss Ayame, some more of your best sake, if you'd please. Magdi says, putting more gold coins on the counter, and can you bring 2 bottles this time? He asks her as he pushes the coins forward. Ayame does so. I need a drink anyway since well, today is a bit of a tough one, says Temari with a deep sigh. Hearing this, Mimir says, how so lass? He has a feeling what she meant. Well, today is the day when I and my team helped out to try and help some friends. They were put together for a retrieval mission and well, let's say, it didn't work out quite as well as we had hoped. We failed, and our target, I guess you can say, escaped us. But, not without cost. Our quarry ended up killing one of the members of the team, a young man by the name of Naruto Uzumaki. She explained, he was the best friend of the man we were trying to bring back, you see, and all that we managed to find of Naruto was a pool of his blood. His demon never revived itself even after a couple of years like most tailed beasts, giant monsters of energy that can cause incredible levels of damage if they wanted. Many assume that Naruto dragged the beast with him to his grave. Or maybe the beast just didn't want to come back, hard to say. She finished softly. Well, were you close with this Naruto lad, young lass? Mimir asks her. Temari shakes her head. No, not, to be honest, he was some loudmouth brat I met during an exam, but that same loudmouth was the one who saved my little brother and brought back his humanity, Temari answered, with a small smile on her. It's such a shame, if that kid was able to save Gaara, I wonder what he could have done if he was still around, she says in curiosity. As Temari does this distant glare while thinking of that day, Mimir turns his eyes to look at Magdi shortly, then back to Temari. I see, I might be a bit behind on certain things given I was bonded to a tree and all, but I'm curious now. Whatever happened to the other team members? Temari snaps out of it, we all survived, and it was thanks to Naruto giving his life for us. She answered, Sasuke Uchiha has killed dozens of his former comrades from the Leaf who have come after him. A large portion of them are some of the most elite warriors we have, but they can never match him in battle. His signature attack is a bolt of lightning to the victim's heart. This was the same attack he used to kill Naruto from what we can guess. After he kills his enemies, he sends their heads back into a box. He's strong, but he will fall eventually, she said, determined. More so since his older brother is here and in the hospital. This is when Magdi chokes on his food and starts coughing. Temari says, hey, are you okay? She asks in a bit of worry. Her drinking buddy, new or not, was entertaining. Yes, I am fine, Magdi says once he clears his throat. You made me worried for a second there. Wouldn't want my new drinking partner to have a heart attack now, would we? She laughs. No, just something went in the wrong pipe. He lied, as in his thought, Itachi is here. But why would the guy who caused all of this be here in Konoha? And in a hospital no less. Mimir moved his eyes to the sides as he said, are you all right, brother? Brother, oh, right now I remember, Itachi Uchiha, the man who single-handedly nearly wiped out his clan. Why would a man with his skills at that caliber be in the hospital? He questions. Temari looks at the head. Wow, you are behind on things. While patting Magdi's back, he's there cause he's sick, very sick, terminal almost if not already. Temari told him, I may be behind on some things, lass, but never doubt old Mimir on his knowledge. Mimir told her, the last time that happened, I still had the ability to itch my butt. Oh, when was that? I think it was 200 winters ago. Mimir thinks back. Before she could say anything else, they hear a group of 4 drunks walk in on one of them. Hey ramen people. I want a bowl. As he slams his hand on the counter with another a bottle, as Ayame says, sir, I have to ask for you and your friends to leave. The guy looks at Ayame, and says, why? I just want a bowl of ramen. Is that wrong? Ayame says, well, you are disrupting the other customers and we don't take too kindly to those who are heavily under the influence. She is nervously sweating, she hates dealing with this. So what if I'm a little drunk? I just want a bowl and so do my friends. However, before anything could escalate, Magdi spoke in a deep tone that made the group shiver. Watch your tone, boy, he growled out as he gazed at the man. You will not dishonor this woman's wish and you and your allies will vacate this shop immediately, or I will make you, he growled. Calm yourself, brother, remember the last time you got angry. The sons of 4 lost their lives to you, and you killed the heir to the throne soon after. Mimir warned, please, do you think I'm scared of some foreigners? And a goat head speaking some nonsense. Do you think you know me? My pals and I are Junins. We will do what we like, said the drunk guy, with Temari looking at them then remembers, wait, I remember hearing a group of girls talking about having broken up with their now ex. Don't tell me, I do not care about rank nor status. You will do as she demands. She asked you to either calm yourself or to leave the premises. Listen, pal, you're garbed in a cloak and have a goat-faced head, you're no match for us, another man called out. Magdi snorts, you say that, but I have fallen men stronger than any of your best on my worst of days. Magdi states, listen, friends, I would listen to him. He's killed men that could wipe out armies on their own with only a single arm, he's not one you want to piss off. Mimir pleads. Then, splash, shut it goat face, said the guy as the others laughed and Mimir spits out the stuff that got on him and says, you know what? Forget what I say, go right ahead brother, and may the prayer of the gods have mercy on their souls. There are no gods here for them, Magdi says before he grabs the first man with his right arm and smashes his head into the counter before throwing him out. A splash of blood follows him. Magdi is punched across the face, but doesn't even budge as the man who hit him turned pale. Was that supposed to do something? Magdi questioned before he kicked the man in the stomach and out of the shop. The other two with one of them shout at Magdi in rage, "You!" as he and the other bring out their kunais, and Magdi jokingly says, "No. Not kunais. My one true weakness," before he grabs the two men by the throat and then smashes their head together, as if, he adds before throwing them out of the shop, "And stay out if you know what is good for you." Magdi says, not realizing his hood had fallen. Before he could turn around, "Brother, your hood," said Mimir in a warning. Magdi grunts as he pulls the garment up before he turns and sits back down. So besides him kicking, does he have a problem showing his face to us? Temari asks as she was unable to see any of Magi's face. Ayame, however, has heart appearing around her as she says to herself, "My hero." Sitting back down, Magdi pulls the hood tighter and places more gold down onto the counter. "For your troubles," he tells her. Continuing his meal, Magdi grabs the bottle of sake and drinks some before taking a platter of the red bean paste and scooping some into his mouth. "This is good, thank you," he says, putting the final plate down before standing up. "Come on Mimir, we have a business to attend," he says as he grabbed the head and placed it on his hip. "It was nice conversing with both of you. I should hope to see each of you later on, yeah?" he asks. Mimir, "You know that you are unable to walk, leave them be." Magdi states, "Oh, can't a head be a charmer?" said Mimir with Magdi laughing as Temari says, "Well, see you guys soon." With that both walk out. Within a few moments later, Temari starts fanning herself as she says, "Hot damn, that guy is ripped." She is blushing. Outside, the drunks are laying on the road and groaning in pain, as one of them says, "I think my nose is broken." XXX sometime later, at the Hokage Mountain XXX. Magdi finds himself on top of one of the Hokages as holds up Mimir and says, "So it seems there's an event of things I had no idea was happening while I was away Mimir." "Well brother, times and people change, and as your Da would say, you can't hope to change that. Even with his blood now coursing through your veins, you can't help but want to protect these people, can you now?" Mimir asks. "He did it to save my life all those years ago when he found me, and I will never be able to pay him back for it. Atreus will need to grow before he can venture out more, and mother will have wanted me to come back and sort out my past," he said to the head. "Well, that axe and those blades will certainly help out in the long run," Mimir said in agreement. After a bit of no talking, Mimir says, "So that Temari girl, she's quite a looker, she will make a nice wife for you, your Da would most certainly approve of her wits, manner, and charm." Snorting, Magi says, "That is not happening, and besides if I remember right, she and an old friend of mine had an unspoken thing for each other," as he remembers a certain guy with a hairstyle that scrutinizes like pineapple as well, being very lazy. "Well, if I know you, and in which case I do, you never chase skirts that have already been taken, yeah. It is an honorable thing to do." Magdi states, "Oh, don't lie to me, everyone knows about you," and Mimir starts only for Magdi to interrupt him, "We are not talking about that." He growls, "Apologies brother, I forgot it was a sensitive subject." Mimir sighed, "So, what now? Freya is inbound to help you on your quest. Meanwhile, your Da and brother are back home, and Balder is hunting you for killing his kin, for Magni, Modi, and a couple of others. You need to find a way to conceal yourself from them and the other gods that search for you and your prisoner." Mimir stated, "I have time, just have to tie up some loose ends before we carry on from here," said Magi. Mimir snorts at him, "Oh yeah, and what's the first one on the list?" Mimir asks, "Simple, talk to old friends, old acquaintances, and sigh, an old crush, if I could even say that," said Magi as he takes off his hood with Mimir sighing softly to himself. "The girl you told me about, this Sakura girl." Nice name but rotten personally though from what you have told me of her. I can never understand what it is you ever saw in her. I mean for Asgard's sake, she was abusive and crude to ya growing up. And I highly doubt she changed in the time you were away in the northern lands. Mimir stated, I will give her the benefit of the doubt. But if she has not changed, she is dead to me then. I learned the hard way that lust and love are two very different things. I will not succumb to childish emotions like I would when I was a child. Magdi stated, HMPH, seems your time spent with Freya did you some good, 3 years and you sure did mature, Mimir noted. As the head looks up and sees, Magi, has a mature face, with 3 whiskers like marks, an old scar on the left side of his face running vertically over the socket with a crystalline eye that is glowing in a golden light, blonde hair that is long enough to reach his braided around his ears and swept back into a ponytail. That reminds me, how's the eye brother? Not giving you any trouble? Mimir asks. Magdi shakes his head, no, the eye is fine. I just don't understand how you and Tyr were able to go through the procedures to have your eyes replaced with magic crystals. It was a pain when I first got it, but I am thankful that Freya managed to implant it when she did. Magdi said calmly. He also needed a few elemental goods to improve his weapons. He just hoped that there was a competent weaponsmith here that could do some things for his blades and axes. They had to make sure to gain every advantage over their enemies before they arrived. Brock and Sindri weren't coming for a couple of years and even then he only had basic skills to modify his weapons to fight Baldur when he arrived in the future. Mimir smiles. That's good to hear brother. Now who among your old friends are planning on meeting first, Magdi? Or should I say, Naruto? That is not my name any longer. That pitiful excuse of a child died 13 winters ago when he had a bolt of lightning shoved through his chest by a boy he considered his brother. I am Magdi, son of Kratos and Laufey, brother to Atreus, said Naruto. Mimir only sighs. Well, I'm still gonna call you that since it is your real name and Magdi is just a cover-up. Naruto drops the head. Oh yes, way to kill my moment of being cool. Then you should call me by my proper name. Magdi is the one my parents gave me and I would like to honor that. Naruto stated before he sat down and pulled out a series of weapons. The first was an ornate hammer, with dozens of runic carvings on both sides of the hammerhead. The hammer's characteristically short handle was due to a mistake during its manufacture if what Brock and Sindri said was true, but he was strong enough to lift the heavy hammer on his own much like his father could when they first killed Thor when he tried to kill both Kratos and Freya. Magni and Modi were strong. Yes, but it took the combined strength of both brothers to lift the hammer up off the ground, and even then, they could only call on the hammer's base abilities to channel lightning. The second was a golden axe that had a short sword as a rear blade with hundreds of runic carvings along with the head of both blades and even the handle where one's hand would grab it. It was different from most battle axes since this axe was a single-handed axe making it a rare weapon. This was made when he took Magni's axe and had part of it melted down and then combined with some fire crystals from a dead fiery ancient and was imbued with the heart of an ice ancient to complete the trifecta of death that even made Kratos shiver at the sight of the axe. Ah yes, Jarngriper was a weapon that the gods should fear if Godslayer Kratos shivered at its power. The one weapon that could contend in might against the strength of Mjolnir with incredible ease. Finally, there were his father's blades, the blades of chaos, bestowed upon him by the mad battle maniac god of war Ares 300 years ago. The blades of chaos were forged at the darkest depths of the underworld by Ares himself. They were imbued with fire, which allowed them to ignite with every attack that the user performed. The blades, chains would stretch out for a set distance with each attack, allowing for fluid movement no matter who wielded them. When his father had begun his journey to the Norse lands, he brought them with him, and on their journey were imbued with the magic of the dwarves as they upgraded the blades and infused with the ability to control the winds of hell itself. As opposed to the ice-aspected Leviathan axe, the blades give off the element of fire. Once upgraded progressively, the blades change gradually in appearance, restoring the cracked Greek blades into a more Nordic style, adding Nordic glyphs similar to the Leviathan axe. These glyphs glow fiery orange when ignited, and small runes written in Old Nordic decorate the edges of each blade. The hilts become gold in color and gain 2 slots on the skull's eyes. Additionally, each upgrade made by the Huldra brothers to the impressive blades was accompanied by an increasingly more intricate motif of a serpent or dragon just beneath the blade. Still can't believe your dog gave you those blades. No one man should bear the burden of the one set of weapons that have caused the downfall of so many gods. Mimir stated, Father's burden has long since brought him to places he shouldn't have gone. These blades are a dark weapon, and he needed to come to terms that he may have been a monster, but he was a monster controlled by the egos of gods. His burden is gone, and he can enjoy the remainder of his days in peace without having to feel the weight of these blades on his shoulders any longer. Naruto told Mimir, well, they have killed an entire pantheon, just remember that. And your axe isn't anything to scoff at either. The mere fact it can wield 3 of the strongest elements in the world makes it the single greatest threat to the Norse pantheon and many others for its abilities. Even your father's blades can't match that kind of power nor Mjolnir when used by Thor after you had Brock and Sindri make it from scraps of Magni's blade after your dog killed him. Mimir stated, well, it was infused with the Asgardian steel of Magni's blade as well as the heart of an ice ancient and fire crystal of a fire ancient, so it should be considered strong, and all the Aesir need to remember, that this weapon holds the remnants of one their own in it. As they are, they need to wake up to reality and remember, the humans control them as much as they contribute to humanity, he stated. You best pray that no other gods besides Odin and Balder come for you, if not, even I cannot tell what fate has in store for you, despite you not being a person who prays to the gods for any form of help, Mimir told him. Well, let's just hope that none of the gods from this land become a problem for us. If they do, then they'll learn not to cross me as they do with father. Naruto said as he pulled out a couple of rags and brushes, and that Mimir is a promise I intend to keep, he said as he picked up Mjolnir and began to polish the magical metal. Enough about gods, and it seems time went by, it's nearly sunset, we should start up camp brother, said Mimir. Yeah, true to that, or we could stay up here, and just start a fire, after all, there are trees above us, said Naruto as he points without looking, might as well, I bet you we have such amazing view of the night sky, said Mimir. Yup. And in the morning, we are going over to the hospital and have a long nice chat with Itachi, and ask him what is going on not just here, but everywhere else, said Naruto as he wipes the magical metal of Mjolnir as it's shining with the light of the setting sun. The sound of fire crackling filled the air as the sounds of nature passed by. Next to a boiling pot of soup, Magdi or well Naruto should we say, sat stirring his meal. His cloak was removed, and his traveling companion head, Mimir, was on a rock with a book propped up for him to read under the moonlight as the stars shined overhead with resonating brightness. Before he could speak, Naruto turned the page where Mimir hummed in thanks as he continued to read while Naruto took the time to taste his meal. Nearby, his 3 weapons, the hammer of Thor, the blades of chaos from Kratos, and his battle axe sat freshly sharpened or polished to perfection. Say lad, do you feel like we are not alone? Mimir asks. Naruto nods. Yeah, I know, I haven't been a ninja long time, but there are things that have just come naturally to me, and that can sense things that ain't meant to be there. He picks up a little rock, flicks it, and there's a yelp of pain as a body falls from the tree line. Nice shot brother, Mimir notes. Naruto places the stirring spoon down as he gets up and walks over to the person in question where he sees an Anbu with a style of a mask he has never seen before. And who are you? He questions calmly as he grabs the Anbu by the throat to pick them up, but not to let him escape, they'll have their trachea ripped out if they shunshined away. The person is struggling hard trying to get free of the hold, but he can't as it seems it was too strong, and this is the first time this has happened and he can't even do the replacement jutsu. I will ask you again, and don't expect a third one, Naruto stated before he spoke again. Now tell me, who are you? Naruto asked calmly, which line is striking fear in the person which shouldn't be possible. See codenamed Tortoise. I serve the great tree that is the mighty Konoha, the Anbu stated. That's not enough. Name, Naruto demanded, and the location of the others who are with you. I know you Anbu usually have a team of 4, that's how you ninja operate. Naruto demanded. Before the man could answer, Naruto held up a hand and called his axe to him, and then sliced back, a cry of pain filling the air where he simply gripped his hand holding the Anbu and twisted. The sound of the man's neck snapping filled the air before Naruto threw him away and turned around to see the other 3, one holding a nasty cut for trying to attack him from behind. That answers that question. He stated before nodding. What do you want? He demands before the one he cut fell to the ground dead. One of 2 living Anbu says, that is a simple one, we know who you are and we are here to bring you to who you are meant to serve, what you're truly meant to be, a weapon for our master. I have no master. Tell this mysterious master of yours, that if he wants me, he can come to get me himself. You should move on, he said before sitting back down at his fire, ignoring the 2 bodies next to him. As the other brings up a dagger that is covered in a venom that puts their targets in a paralyzing state, the effects would last long enough for them to take Naruto as was their mission. Mimir laughs, oh that's cute, a dagger to the back Snorting, Naruto turns and says, that's not a dagger at all, it is a toothpick. He retorts, the Anbu not caring as he goes for the attack with the dagger in hand, but it is caught by Naruto as he says, that's not even worthy enough to be called a dagger. He said as he reached to his hip, this is a dagger. He said holding the knife up. Then he thrusts the dagger into the guy's throat and blood is just spilling out. The Anbu falls down the side, dead. Naruto then looks at the last one, your last warning, leave. I don't think that's a good idea, brother. If he leaves, more so since he knows who you are, and there goes your big surprise you had in mind, Mimir says. Naruto snorts as he watches the Anbu leap into the trees. I know, false sense of hope to let him escape before I did this, he said before hurling the golden axe into the woodline before a cry of pain filled the air before another squelching sound killed the cry as he holds out his hand and the axe returns. You know, I just can't get enough of that. He throws it toward the night sky then holds up his hand and the axe returns to him, see? It's just too cool, Naruto smirks. I can see that the crafters of those 2 brothers are outstanding, too bad they would fight all the time, says Mimir. Naruto nods, I have to agree with you but not everyone can get along, said Naruto. Now then, time to get back to that pot, I am hungry after that little spar. Mimir raises a brow, doesn't your stomach ever fill up? At all? Mimir asks. The blonde rears his head back and roars in laughter, nope, never. Naruto laughs. XXX Hokage Mountain. Dawn. Konoha Hospital XXX. In a certain hospital room, laying a man, who has black hair, black eyes, long, pronounced tear troughs, is wearing the white hospital robe, and what's more, he is very thin, devoid of fat and muscles, as he is just skin and bone, and right now, a nurse is bringing a tray of food for him as she says, here you go Itachi-san, as she sets it down before leaving. Itachi stops her, Nurse-san before you go, could you open the window, I would like some fresh air, he requests softly. Of course, said the nurse as she walks over and opens it before she leaves the room. Itachi closes his eyes within a few seconds. You can come out, I know you're there, he says while the window's curtains move due to the wind and Naruto suddenly appears as he drops down to the floor silently. He's good brother, a lot better than the stories of him depict. A goat-like head says, causing Itachi to raise a brow at this. It was certainly a first. Naruto, clad in his cloak with the hood pulled up, agrees readily, yeah, even though being sick, and he looks at the state of Itachi's body, a shadow of his former self. Itachi says, you flatter me too much, I may be sick but I'm still sharp in most of my skills even though I can't move much of my body these days. Naruto nods and walks up to him and asks, do you know who I am without any clues? I can piece together some things, but right now, no. I can tell you have chakra, but at the same time, there is a sort of energy coursing through you that I cannot understand, though from what I can tell it is similar to chakra. As for your friend's head, he is flesh and blood, but an unknown technique has reanimated him without the need of a body. Wow, he's a really good brother, Mimir said. Then Itachi continues, besides that, on the other hand, given how your body stance is, your garments, and speech pattern, I would say you hail from the north. Hidden cloud type north, but farther north than most lands have on a map, seeing as the ninja world is still expanding and all. Remove your hood, and I'll be more inclined to speak with you. Itachi says. Naruto, without missing a beat, removes his hood. Itachi doesn't say anything. He just smiles as he says, have a seat, I'm sure we have much to talk about. Naruto sits down and removes the head from his belt and puts it on a table. We do. He agrees. Now then, said Itachi as he began cutting his food slowly, what would you like to know first? How long have you been bedridden? Naruto clasped his hands together as he leaned forward to look Itachi in his eyes. Itachi shakes his head with a chuckle. Of all the things, you ask about me. He said with humor before inhaling deeply, well, it's been 6 years now, given my sickness that I spent years fighting off, trying to hold on long enough so Sasuke could kill me off for what I had done, but with what has happened, lot of things changes and the center of it, would be your death, by Sasuke's hand. Itachi looks at Naruto, which by the way, you look rather well for a dead person, he notes. Naruto chuckles, while that is true I do look good, the truth is, I did not fake my death. Naruto said lifting the cloak to show the scar over his heart, your brother did kill me, but it was Maida who found me before everyone else. Now, what happened to the rookies? Ah yes, your friends, I don't know much given that well, I don't get many visitors but I do know what's going on with the ones belonging clans but that's not for me to say, said Itachi. Just tell me anything you know, I am not looking for secrets and jutsu. I do not need them. Naruto said, well, your friend Neji Hyuga and his cousin Hinata are no longer part of the Hyuga clan. They've left. The fire daimyo outlawed the caged bird seal and other forms of subjugation and killed several of the elders to make a statement, but they found a new way to give the seal to those they deemed a threat to their leadership. They use a crude steel brand and mark them across the back for those who haven't had the original version on the forehead. This leaves a large scar that the bearer can cover up and keep hidden from prying eyes. Itachi said, as for the Hyuga clan head, that would be Hanabi, Hinata-san's younger sister. She saw fit to execute the remaining elders on account they broke the fire daimyo's law and united the two houses while letting Hinata and Neji strike out on their own. Neji has married a civilian woman named Aim and they have a son, Hizashi. He's 6 now, a good kid from what my summons tell me. Hinata remains on her own, declining the multitude of suitors that come ask for her hand. She remains celibate on account she publicly announced her affection towards you. As for Rock Lee, he's known as the greatest taijutsu master in all the elemental nations, surpassing his master Maeda. He teaches at the academy from time to time and owns a dojo where he teaches Monday to Friday with the weekends off. He married a woman named Matsuri from the Sand Village and has a son named Metal Lee. Apparently, he wants to become a taijutsu master like his own father. He likes to challenge a young boy named after their fallen friend. Naruto Sarutobi, Konohamaru and Moegi's son. Shino Aburame works as a Jonin Academy teacher and Kiba works as a clan head and diplomat with other countries from time to time. He's good at what he does. Claims that death and violence don't solve everything. Does this in your honor. He goes to the memorial stone once a month and gives a toast of sake to your name. As for Tenten, she owns a weapons shop and blacksmith. She's created weapons that can rival those of the 7 ninja swords of the mist and some even better. She doesn't get many suitors on account her tastes are exotic in some cases. Itachi says before humming. Neji, Hinata, Lee, Tenten, Shino, Kiba make 6, ah of course. Your teammate Sakura remains adamant that my foolish brother remains innocent despite constantly killing Leaf Ninja and another ninja that comes after him. Though I wouldn't blame him for wanting to live, as that's human nature, his ruthlessness is anything but. He sends the heads of those he kills to their villages back in a box, asking if it is the best that they can offer. Your friend Shikamaru has married a young woman named Akria Yuki from Kiri, and they have twins, a boy and a girl. They named their son after you, much like Konohamaru and his wife did. He's 12. Now that I think about it, your name is rather popular and a lot of kids in Chunin share it. Roughly 30 if my numbers are right. You seem to change a lot of people to the point they can't help but remember you. Even your old academy instructor and his wife Tsubaki named their eldest after you, he pointed out. Naruto has his head down during the time Itachi was, as he couldn't help but let out a couple of teardrops as he says, I see, damn it, sorry, just got something in my new eye, is something I'm still getting used to. While Mimir knows that was a lie, so, some of my friends are married, that's good, though I'm surprised. I would have thought that Shikamaru would end up with Temari. Oh, don't get me started on that whole mess, it wasn't pretty, said Itachi, shaking his head. Mimir says, you know, for a man who is bedridden and not getting visitors, you sure do know an awful lot, even if you had this summoning animal to help you out. Itachi says, well, there's many crows can do. That's why I relied on the gossip of the nurses, they hear a lot of things. That, and nobody would suspect a crow of spying on certain conversations. Itachi says, sheesh, that kind of sneakiness reminds me too much of Odin. That, and the ties to the ravens. Mimir stated. Naruto says, anyway, what do you mean by Hinata moved out of the Hyuga clan compound? Itachi looks at him and shakes as he laughs softly. That is something I'm still in the dark about, but whatever caused her to move out, she becomes a very much different person than you remember. She's cold to her family, ruthless to her enemies, and her suitors. She despises men in general now, but she has taken a couple of female lovers, but it was years ago and she remained celibate ever since. Naruto shakes his head, damn. Nodding, Itachi says, I think that's because she couldn't truly another. Mostly due to her heart, or whatever remains within her, belongs to you. Naruto is surprised to hear that. Don't tell her I said that, she's also a medical ninja and she doesn't have the gentle touch like your friend Ino. Speaking of her, she is regarded as the next Tsunade Senju, due to her skills. She leads her clan very well and adopted a young boy named Hashirama. The kid loves gardening and has a powerful earth affinity. Forgot about her, to be honest. He shakes from remembering their massive needles to draw out blood during the early years of his stay. I see, so now then, can you tell me about this though? He shows him a bloodstained mask of the Anbu from last night. Itachi looks at it, though it looks updated, most of it is still the same. He said, this is a root mask, where did you get it? Itachi questions. A squad of them attacked my campsite last night trying to get me as a weapon to their gesture of a leader, some man that I was unable to get the name of. Called me his weapon before I slaughtered them and destroyed the remains, said Naruto. Itachi says, Danzo is the man you are looking for, this is from his little following of drones. He forces them to rid themselves of emotion by killing someone they're raised with, in a fight to the death. Believes he should be the Hokage due to the high no Ishi that Lord Hashirama created dying with him. Says that men are tools, and emotions are a weakness. He told Naruto, handing the mask back. Naruto takes the mask and puts it away. So do you know what he has done for crimes more than removing emotions? Naruto asks. Yes, I do. He kidnapped children with great potential and or unique traits, not just from Konoha, but other villages as well. He takes those from well-known clans, mostly orphanages used to house them until another clan member can care for them. Itachi answered. Mimir blinks in confusion. If you know this, why did you not tell the leader of this place? He asks as he doesn't understand why Itachi didn't report this info. Because Danzo is a dangerous man, He may seem like an old man, but you have to remember this, he was trained by both the first and second Hokages, he knows jutsu that many had forgotten, secrets that are far too damaging, and he has seen much death and fought wars than Naruto and I could have possibly known. Naruto nods, that is understandable now that you say it. But if he keeps it up then I am going for his head. Itachi says, if you do, make sure you give him two for me and my best friend, will you? What do you mean? Naruto asks. He's a grave robber to boot. Even stole the eyes from members of my clan and grafted them onto an arm made of Lord First's cells. He was exposed by a ninja a while back, but grave robbing a founding clan isn't enough to warrant execution. He used a forbidden jutsu on the daimyo, Koto Amatsukami, and made him exempt from the charges used against him by claiming it was to the glory of Konoha. Itachi told him, "Oh, that man is not a man, he is a monster," said Mimir in anger. As he adds, the things he has done, hell, compared to certain gods, this Danzo fellow makes them look like saints, and Odin was the man who allowed Thor to slaughter all the giants in Midgard. Mimir stated. Naruto nods, I agree with you Mimir. This man is a monster and he will get his due in the end. Just like Thor did when we killed him and his sons. As we will with Balder when he comes to us as we planned. Itachi takes their words with a grain of salt but nods to that, let's see, what else can I tell you? Oh, he then explains everything that Naruto had missed out on. Gaara married the clan head of the Hazuka clan Nezumi Hazuka to broker peace with the two nations and had a son, who was also ironically named Naruto in remembrance of Gaara's first and best friend. Apparently he was just as hyper as the blonde was in his youth. The ceasefire between Kumo and Konoha, how Iwa withdrew to build up their strength, several minor villages expanded and were on the cusp of becoming major villages. He explains pretty much everything else, and then some, when he is finished, and that's what has happened the past 12 years. Naruto nods and he says, thank you, he says softly. Itachi says, it's not much of a problem, it's nice to have someone to talk to, even though it means it will be my last one. Naruto looks at him and is reminded of Itachi's illness, and the way he said, it likely means Itachi's time is running out and soon. You know brother, those healing crystals you usually carry can fix just about anything and everything aside from death itself. Mimir points out to him, gaining curious looks from both men. Naruto grunts and then pulls out a crystal and looks at it. That is true, but it is not my choice to make. It is up to Itachi. Mimir grunts in understanding as Naruto looks toward Itachi and he asks, if I say yes, what do you want in return? Naruto says, keep our conversation a secret, I will reveal myself when I am ready and not a moment before I am ready. Itachi nods, very well then. Your visit is safe between us, besides, no one visits, so your secret is safe with me. Naruto sees Mimir moving his eye toward Itachi, and asks, so you're giving brother permission? Nodding, Itachi says, yes I am. Would you please heal me? He asks as he holds out his hand where Naruto places a glowing green rock in his palm, then adds pressure to the crystal as it breaks, a wave of green light washing over Itachi before enveloping him only to die down just as quickly. The illness is cured, but to fully heal, that is only something you can do. The crystal can only do so much. Naruto informs him, sorry, there is not much more I could have done for you. Naruto apologizes. This is more than enough. With this, I can ease the burden of my brother's selfish acts of vengeance and greed for power. I thank you, Itachi says. Naruto nods and asks, also I heard a rumor that you were going blind by overusing your eyes. He asks, is this true? Nodding, Itachi says, yes, its drawback for gaining the more powerful form of the Sharingan, the Mangekyo, there are no other ways to go around it, besides getting a pair of them from someone who has it as well, as he is feeling so much better, which he hasn't for a long time. Naruto nods and then gets up and picks up Mimir's head. I will see you later, Itachi. For now, I must leave. I cannot have my secret being exposed and I can sense a worker coming this way. he says as he heads to the window. Until we meet again, Itachi Uchiha, son of Fugaku Uchiha and Makoto Uchiha. He bids the man farewell and exits the room in a gentle breeze of wind. Then the door opens and it's the same nurse from before holding a bowl of ice cream in her hand. Itachi-san, I know I shouldn't be here given you're unwell, but I thought maybe I would give you some ice cream, is that alright? She asks as Itachi smiles towards her. You know, that sounds very nice. The Uchiha says politely. XXX unknown location XXX. It was dark out. A small fire was burning, the snow not bothering the camper as she sat at the edges of the flame to keep away the cold. She has long shoulder-length dark hair with some of it being tied in a braid with several strands of her braids being beaded. She wears a light brown dress with animal skins and a dark brown leather dress with intricate Nordic patterns and gold inlaid into the lower part of the dress. She also wears a bright orange shirt and has a series of runic tattoos on her arms. She's also barefoot and very tall for her gender as she stood at a generous 5 foot 9 inches, just under a certain blonde godling's height of 6 foot 3 inches. She has a curvy figure with double EE cup. Wide hips that many would agree were perfect for childbearing. This is Freya, former leader of the Veneer gods, and right now, she wants answers. So you're telling me, Naruto, has gone off to his homeland, for what? She looks at the man who trained and sees Naruto as a son. The man appears older, with several wrinkles on his face looking to be in his mid to late 50s or 60s. His goatee has grown into a bushy, full beard that covers half his face and has several gray hairs. His skin is still pale and covered with the ashes of his Spartan family, and his tattoos have faded slightly. He retains the scar on his abdomen, however, it is larger and less jagged than before due to him stabbing himself at the end of his conquest against his former pantheon. Also from the same wound, he now has a long scar covering almost all of his lower back. He wears black leather pants and shoes. Also present are faded scars from where the chains from the blades were attached to his forearms, which he prefers to keep covered beneath with what appears to be fur-lined leather, secured with thongs of leather. The man, Kratos says, yes, he told me that he wanted to go there. To see how things were in his former homeland, as he chopped up a tree. Freya shakes her head in exasperation, and you let him go. Just like that, while knowing that he has a target on his back. From Odin, from Balder, and half the Aesir under the Allfather's command. Says Freya, he's a grown man, he doesn't need my permission to come and go as he pleases, Freya, he will be fine. Besides he has Mimir to help with information. Along with what he has learned with you while I was journeying with Atreus to the summit of the mountain and what he learned from me when we arrived in these lands. Besides those lands are under the protection of the Shinto pantheon, they do not take kindly to outsiders coming in without permission, their hunt will not be so easy, he tells her. And you forget, Odin controls the Veneer, and through them, the Veneer magic. He can create the protection staves that can hide them from the pantheon of his homeland. He's more than a mere mortal, the minute he slew Magni and Modi his blood became that of the gods. And you know as well as I do, that the blood you gave him did more than save his life, it prolonged it to a length far beyond a regular mortal, you made him a demigod. Now he is a full-fledged god from slaying the sons of Thor and Thor himself cursing him to live as one of us. She sighs as she shakes her head, he is in more danger than we could ever hope to realize. You should not have let him go back, she told him. Freya, you don't think I know that. Do you honestly think I won't let him go without believing he can take care of himself? I trained him, raised him as my own, and gifted him all I know, given him the very thing I swore I would never bestow upon, the blades that I tried to bury in the past to live for a better future. Kratos said calmly but sternly to the younger goddess. Naruto, he is young but also strong and can think in the heat of battle, and unlike me, he does not succumb to rage and anger without reason. He knows who to kill and who does not, he is kind but also cold. Both he and Atreus have something I had long since lost, and that is humanity. Like all men do, he will live and fight, and all we can do is to pray that he returns home. Here, father, I got some, he said, putting a basket of fish down. This was Kratos' blood son, Atreus, who was truthfully a half-giant god-teen. He is a young man of 13 with brown hair and a scarred pale face. The scar on his face is pale, resembling the marking Deimos has, possibly a sign of greatness. He has light freckling and icy blue eyes. He is dressed in leather and hides of fur. Additionally, the sash around his waist is remarkably similar to Kratos' loincloth during his time in Greece, red with golden patterns around it. Good, help me prep them, Kratos says softly as he grabs a knife and cuts into the fish. Then Atreus notices Freya. Oh Freya, if you are looking for Naruto, he's not here. Kratos says, she already knows, boy, and she is deciding whether or not to go after your brother. He guts another fish. XXX Lake of the Nine, Gateway Shop XXX. Two dwarves were excited. Why, may you ask? Well, that was simple. They had avenged the hundreds of giants they had inadvertently helped the Aesir slaughter through the centuries. Sure, it wasn't by their hands that it happened, but it was through their crafting of a weapon of equal if not greater strength that the act of vengeance had been carried out. Mjolnir was no longer their masterpiece, what had once been a symbol of their name being brought up from the destructive forces of the greedy and selfish Aesir now basked in a glorious light of protection and peace in the form of a battle-axe that controlled the aspects of fire, ice, and thunder itself. Thor had stood no chance when he had come knocking about looking for the trio of bastards they called their clients after the fat dauber's son had fallen in battle to the blonde punk. Yes, they could sleep peacefully now after countless years of restless nights from their selfish desire to be recognized as the best craftsmen in the Nine Realms. Brock, a blue dwarf with golden armor covered in soot, looked at his brother in curiosity while smirking as he hammered a piece of scop slag. You sure you wanna go there? The things we've been doing here have made us so much better, he stated. Sindri, a dwarf in shiny golden armor with long red gloves who was also Brock's brother, nodded his head. Oh yes, think of all the things we could come across, the rare ingredients we could use if we make things with them, the people, the landscapes we'll pass by on the journey, he tells his brother. As the blue one says, you tend to just freak out over everything, he said as he started getting his things together. Sindri waves his brother off. I will be fine, I'm sure where we are going will be clean, said Sindri as he tried not to think such things. Brock snorts in amusement but nods. Yeah, I agree, but I just need to get our stuff ready. Brock says, I wonder if there's meat over there. He wonders. Sindri gives his brother a blank look. Seriously. Out of everything, meat is the first one that comes to the front of your mind. Brock couldn't answer that. We're off to a far land we've never been to, far from our home. There's the possibility of new things we couldn't think of, and you just think of mead. Brock laughs heartily as he says, never thought I would see the day you would tell me off. It's strange, good, but strange. Blushing in embarrassment, Sindri says, why yes, that was way out of line, so should we carry on then? Brock's laughter rang through the temple as he helped his brother continue packing. XXX unknown location XXX. The tracks led south, far south. But why would he go on this kind of journey on his own? The blonde punk was stronger than the bearded man and his boy of a brother. The man doing the tracking has a unique body build, as it makes him seem small in comparison to the other male gods in his homeland of Asgard, who are generally of towering height and sport broad, heavily muscled builds. His most striking features are his woad blue tattoos of Nordic runes, which coat large portions of his limbs and torso, and his eyes, which are distinctly icy blue, particularly noticeable when someone is looking at his face close-up. He has handsome, if haggard, features, with a beaded but unkempt brownish beard and a shaggy, beaded horse mane hairstyle. He wears a red belt, a hip pouch, and a thin string of charms over a torn brown waistcloth sash, which is worn over loose, black cloth pants, bound at the calves with brown leather straps. He wears no top and no shoes. This, was Balor, the god of the light and Odin's best tracker. But most knew him as the man who cannot be killed due to a spell his mother cast upon him a century ago. The hunt was on, and he would bring justice for the Allfather for his brother's death. As he says, "Soon, blonde one, I will find you and then I will make you pay for killing my brother." He makes as he follows Naruto's track, unknowing walking into other gods' lands that ain't his to enter. However, the protection stave spell was already on his neck, preventing any deity from so much as sensing his power until it was too late. XXX Konoha. Noon XXX. Naruto, with the hood on, is walking around as he is thinking of who to see first. As he walks, he bumps into someone. "I am sorry, my head was in the clouds," said Naruto as he stands back up. Looking at the one he bumped into, he sees Temari. Shaking her head, the blonde woman smiles. "Oh, it's you, Magi," she says, looking at him. Naruto nods with Mimir, thinking, "Oh fate, ain't you funny thing?" Temari says, "So how have you been?" she says, trying to make small talk as she didn't expect to see Magi so soon. Naruto says, "It is all right, as it happens that last night someone tried to take me to be a weapon." Temari is surprised to hear that and feels her eyes widen in shock. "What? By who?" "Just point me at them and I will handle it," she says. Shaking his head, Naruto says, "No need, I already handled it myself." Temari blinks as she says, "Ooh, oh okay," as she thinks, "Damn it, I met him less than a day ago, why am I like this?" Naruto explains what happened and even shows the dagger they had. As this is going on, soon enough, both stop what they are doing and hear. "Oh, a beauty such as yourself deserves the finer things in life such as this," says a man who, holding a case as it displays a necklace with many gems with silver and such as stands in front of it. A woman who is 25 years old, with indigo blue hair as it long in a thin ponytail and white eyes, as she wearing a light purple shirt with no sleeves, as it hugging onto her large of H, using a headband as a belt, bandages around her lower arms, wearing long dark pants. This is Hinata Hyuga, formerly of the Hyuga clan. And to Naruto, he remembers seeing a sweet, kind yet shy and always red on her face girl, but the memory of that girl has long since faded away, as the expression on the now older Hinata's face is cold and ruthless, and very much isn't impressed by both the man and his gift that he's presenting. As she doesn't say anything, she just turns away and walks off as a sign of rejection, not caring about it, and the man turns into stone as he says, but this cost almost 50,000 ryo, a whole S-rank mission." Naruto snorts at that as he has seen much more expensive shit and he also has more expensive gems on his person. Then he hears Temari say, "Well, there goes another fool soul trying to impress the Queen of Ice." She would admit that she feels sorry for the guy. It was an impressive necklace. Naruto just HMMS, at that, you know that name is not right for her. "Truthfully, it should be the Queen of the Frozen Tundra," said Naruto. Giggling, Temari says, "That sounds about right, given as Hinata pretty much blocked off everything, and yes, that's her actual name, Magdi." She looks at him. Naruto nods as the guy is crying as he failed to win, or at last, melt the ice heart of Hinata. Then Naruto looks toward where Hinata, as he thinks, what could have happened that made her this way? Temari says, "Say Magdi." Naruto is pulled out of his thoughts. "Since I'm heading back to my village soon, I was thinking that maybe we could get to Keihu the air," they cries out as she looks behind Naruto. Naruto looks behind him and sees people are running as three men cut through swaths of ninja of high caliber, Jonin and Anbu alike, before Naruto growls as they take notice of him and point in his direction. "Travelers, of course, they bring their barbaric practices here," he snarls as he reaches behind his back. "Brother, I would highly suggest not doing open combat here. Remember what happened the last time you fought in a town square? It was ruined, and several people lost their lives, including your enemy," Mimir says. "Yes, but these nuisances are not Thor, and their flesh is vulnerable to steel," Naruto says, pulling Jarngriper from its clasp in the middle of his back and whirling it around. so let's have some fun, Mimir. Like the old days. The old days. There are no old days with you. Those days were less than a year ago, ya daft fool. The head shouts as Naruto runs toward the three heavily armored men with his axe. This is a bad idea. Mimir called out, Magdi. He cries. As Temari is confused about what is going on as she unhooks her fan and says, hold on, you shouldn't fight these things alone. Stay out of this. Naruto roared back at her as he raised the axe over his head.